Welcome back. I know I said I was going to continue on with more stuff, but just looking at this, I thought that we could cover kind of a cool little topic using our for loop skills and stuff like that. So I thought we could kind of refactor the way that this player character is being implemented here. So really quick, we'll just comment out everything that we have with these input methods, and we'll build a little for loop to accomplish kind of the same thing. So I've commented out everything below the player character constructor here. So we'll just start up here, and the first thing that we want to do is we'll build a list, and we'll just kind of refactor these traits into this list. So we'll just call it char list for now. And then remember, this is a square bracket, so we want name, we want race, we want size, we want that to enter correctly, we want alignment, we want armor class, which we'll just call a C because you'll see why this is going to the user, and then we'll use strength capitalized like that just because. And we want to make sure that we have the right order, because otherwise our statistics will get messed up on our character. If I can type dexterity here, and then intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. So okay, we have this nice list, and then we want an empty list. So I'll just call this one char build. And the reason we want an empty list is we're just going to append everything into this empty list to build our character. And then we're going to build a little for loop here. So we'll just say for S for string or trait, whatever you want to do. T, again, this variable doesn't matter too much as long as you're consistent. So we'll build this for loop like this. And then we come down here, and now we need to build a loop. So first we need to save it to a variable, the user input. So we'll just do X for that, and we'll do our input here. And here we'll just do a string. We'll say enter character space, and then we're going to concatenate. We're going to use that variable from our for loop, the S here, and then we'll just build this with the colon and a space here so that it's spacing just like it is here. The difference is this one will say enter. And then S is just going to pull through this list and work its way down until it tells them to input all of that. But what are we doing? Because if we loop, are we just throwing these variables out here? What are we doing with that input? So we need to make sure that we're saving that input somewhere. And that's why I want this char build list here. And we'll just append X to this list. So we'll push all of those values into this char build list. And just to show that we're getting the right output or input, we'll do char build here, because we want to make sure that our list is appending properly and that we're storing the proper data. So go ahead, save. We'll run it here. We have enter character name. We'll do Bob. Bob can be a human. He can be a medium human. It's chaotic neutral. And then from here, we don't care. And you see here that when we print out the char build, we are getting all of the values that we want. So now how do we build a player character from that? So we're just going to go ahead, we'll copy this chunk of code just so you have the original too, so you can see what it's like. We'll get rid of the print, we already know it's working. And we'll call this char object 2. Now instead of doing char name, char race, all of that, we're going to take this and do char build, and then we'll get it by index. And that way we know that we're getting the proper index, which is why the order up here is important. And if I messed anything up, let me know. I certainly could have. So I'm just copy and pasting, obviously, everything in. And then we're going to work our way down and get the proper indexes in here so that we have the proper statistics to build our character. All right, I'll save. I'm just gonna pause the video really quick and I'll work through the indexes. Okay, so I've got indexes 0 through index 11. I believe that's how many we have. Go ahead and save, and then we can run that. But first, just to make sure we're getting it, let's just copy this print here to see if our character is getting built successfully. And we need to change this to char object 2 dot name and see if we get the proper element here, the proper index for the name variable, and if it's stored appropriately. So we run this, call it Bob again, human, and we'll just do all ones from here just to check. And so we see player character Bob created successfully. So obviously they're doing the same thing. This isn't wrong, but it's a lot more code to do the same thing. So building this little list gives us the ability to just bounce right over it. If we ever add more traits in the future, for whatever reason, if we just build this out, say we add like 50 more things to this list, this is already happening. So we don't have to handwrite all of this, hard code all of this in for the future, right? And we're just putting all of the traits into a list too. So this list and this for loop are adapting immediately to any changes excuse me, in the char list up here. So that's why refactoring can be very worthwhile. You can also mess around in here. I bet you can figure out a way to for loop to assign these variables these values or something like that, given enough time. So just keep that in mind. You can always kind of look at code and think of ways to refactor it and then pass it into the constructor here. That would be kind of tricky, but you could do like a dictionary or anything else and then just kind of refactor in how the information gets passed in here to the player character. So I just wanted to cover that quick refactoring with stuff that we've already covered, a for loop, lists, and append. So thank you for tuning in.